Do it. Go ahead, Chris, then Ralph.
Hey, everybody.
Um,
Go ahead and thanks for joining us. Unmute yourself, type in, anything goes. This is for your questions for you, your friends, your clients, your family. Anything goes, fire away.
Thanks, Sam. Hey, Greg. How are you doing?
How are you?
Happy Valentine's Day.
You too.
Hey, I was reviewing some notes on cysts and tumors, and I have a note there about yarrow, sweet Annie, and pine. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, like Sweet Annie, I don't know that I put Sweet Annie in there. Like Sweet Annie, like was being something that was explored. It was more of something that calms down viruses that potentially could play a little bit of a role, but yarrow, pine, and lemon are all kind of things that have been studied before. Yarrow tends to be used on things that are more inflammatory. So sometimes they'll tell you straight up that the tumor is inflammatory, but a lot of times the language is that they'll talk about the borders of the tumor being either well-defined or poorly defined. And when the borders of a tumor are poorly defined, it's inflammatory. It has like little roots that are kind of going off into different directions. And so things like that, you know, you want to use things that are very strong anti-inflammatory type oils. And yarrow was studied for something like this. And actually, I think it was studied within the United States, but you know, those studies just kind of floated away somewhere. I've used it quite a bit in treating like breast cancer quite a bit, and it does slow down the growth, and it does like inhibit the because an inflammatory tumor kind of goes like, it'll expand and then condense and expand and condense. And so, you know, somebody like if they can palpate it, they'll go, oh, the tumor's getting smaller. It's that it's expanding and contracting. And just because
and is it water that's in there, or
what's that?
It expands with what? With water?
No, I would say it's like blood, lymph, inflammatory material. Yeah, like it's tissue. Like it's not like a hollow thing. It's tissue. A lot of times they have, you know, a blood supply and the whole bit. And so you're wanting to, as best you can, keep reducing the expansion phase, you know, because when you do that, it actually slows down the growth. And so pine is very good for a lot of different kind of tumors. You know, you kind of have to do much bigger dosages than what you would do to treat like normal conditions like, you know, arthritis or something like that. And so like if you are going to try to augment with something like that, you know, send us an email or something so we can kind of talk it out a little bit. They can be very helpful. And the thing that's interesting about the pine is that it also helps to release cortisone. And cortisone is a natural anti-inflammatory. And so I suspect that I think there's several things in pine that can be helpful for tumor growths, but I suspect that the stimulating the body's cortisone levels, you know, the body's producing the cortisone, that actually has an effect on the tumor as well. But you know, none of this is a replacement for something. Usually you're augmenting. You know, there's a lot of practitioners who will say that, you know, they can cure it with that, and you know, it can be done. But you know, in all the years I've treated probably I don't know, probably 250 cases or something. It might even be more of cancer. And I think like total, maybe, with them not getting any other treatments, I think maybe 9 times we were able to cure the cancer. And there was a period of about 15 months where I had like 6, like just bam. But I was working on a lot of cancer patients at the time, but 6 or 9 or whatever you want to say, 10 out of 250, those aren't great numbers. You know what I mean? Like those are good, but to be the primary way of treating, I always fall back to augmenting what is being done with standard medicine and things like that. And I know in the medical aromatherapy circles, what I'm saying is not a very popular view, but I never want to talk somebody out of treatment when it's a potentially life-threatening condition. Like, I try to treat with whatever is being presented to me. If they don't want to go to the doctor, I maybe suggest that they do, but I treat whatever I can, the best that I can. If they're going to the doctor, I treat whatever I can, the best that I can, and just do what I can there. Lemon can also be helpful. It helps to normalize a lot of things. It's considered a cure-all, but has a big impact on blood cells and mineral levels, and it just makes certain parts of the body like function better. Has a big impact on the blood, and so it also has a thinning effect on the lymphatic fluid and helps lymph move through the body. A lot of times in the area of the cancer cells, where the cancer is, lymph nodes are heavily impacted, or they've shut down. And so, the lymphatic blend is very good for impacted lymph nodes. And then single oil bay laurel. Like bay laurel is one of the best things that you can use for an impacted lymph node to jumpstart lymph nodes that really have kind of shut down. It's a little bit hard because like sometimes there's multiple things that are causing that, and it's not always like you can just go, let's do one thing and unwind this. There tends to be a lot of inflammation in the area, a lot of fascial restrictions in the area. And when there's like stagnant blood and lymph in the area, it can really be a precursor. The thing that I would say with that is arbor vitae or arbor vitae, how you want to say it, or thuja, can be very helpful in dealing with that. The thing that I said about, well, I don't remember what I said, but this is what I probably said concerning Sweet Annie is that for me, like when I'm looking at potential tumor sites or things like that, I always like to look at viral activity. I think viruses and cancers are, I don't know that viruses necessarily cause cancer, but you could say they're cousins. Like, there's just this thing where it's something in the body that replicates and it's a chaotic growth and starts to change the body and the physiology to accommodate its growth and its growth rate. It's kind of parasitic in nature. And so, I'm not saying treat it like a parasite, but I'm just saying like sometimes when I'm treating somebody that has cancer, like I say that like I'm doing it now, but like in the old days when I was treating people a lot with cancer, I would also look at viruses and treat viruses and viral activity. And so Sweet Annie would be something that I would use to calm down certain kinds of viral activity. It doesn't do all viruses across the board, But there was times where I thought it was a little bit helpful, and then there was times where we had to use other things. And the thing that I would look at also with like cancer is, like, from a physiological point of view, is like stagnation. Like there's a lot of stagnation of fluid, of movement, of just things are moving like it should. Nerve flow, blood flow, lymph flow, blood back to the heart, all of those things. Then the next thing I would say is, like, I always like to go through and look at lower emotions, because lower emotions are more physiological than psychological. Eventually they become psychological. Emotions go both ways. Like, they can be coming from the mind, and then you generate a lower emotional response, and then a lot of times they're from our physiology. And so one of the things that you look at is unwinding some of the lower emotions, because there can be a lot of pent up emotion, especially anger. And when you look at anger, again, going back to the immune system, a lot of times when there's really severe allergies, allergic responses, the allergies actually can produce the anger. And so I'm not sure that the anger causes the cancer, but like, you use it as an indicator that there can be some allergic responses happening in the body where it's producing the anger. Hard to say. Like, there's some people where I'm like, yeah, that person's so angry, I can see that it caused cancer. And there's other times where I'm like, I think that person's body just got out of whack. Because, a perfect example of this is, I've seen people with brain tumors who were these very nice, sweet people, and they got the brain tumor, like, didn't really harbor a lot of things from the past, negativity from the past. And when they got the brain tumors, it was uncomfortable being around them, because they got really, like, angry, hostile, really super aggressive. And it's because of what it started to do to the brain, like the brain and to the immune system. And so, it's one of those things where it's good to know some body of knowledge there, but there's not really a template where you can go in and look and go, oh, this will do this and this will do that. And it's always good to treat the person's their emotions and things like that. But I think the best way to do that is to not necessarily treat it directly as like a psychological issue, but to treat it more as a neurological issue. And the use of, like, nervines, like Melissa, basil, chamomiles, even yarrow, milfoil, things that are just very nurturing to the nervous system, very calming and soothing to the nervous system. I tend to use those because I find that I've even used sage quite a few times. And, the person is going through a life-changing, condition. And regardless if they beat the cancer or not, they will not be the same. I had cancer when I was in high school, and there was before the tumor and after the tumor. Like, I was not the same person after that. And mine wasn't even that bad. Like, it was diagnosed and treated within a couple of months, and, like, it was done. But it does something to the psyche. It really rattles your cage, and it puts things in perspective really, really kind of quickly. And so the more that you kind of can support them, like, emotionally, and the nerves and all of that, the better. And so I'd always look at like a very adaptive approach, because every situation has its facets, and it's not, there's some things that are going to be the same from situation to situation, and then there's some things that are just every situation's a little bit different. And so then there's the karmic issue. You know, the karmic issue is usually not from this lifetime, and so it's kind of hard to assess. So I usually kind of put it out there that people maybe do a little tithing, but unless they're in like spiritual circles, or like, you know, have been in that realm, they usually don't tithe very often, or, you know. And I actually had a very good friend who passed away from cancer, and we were treating it, and she was getting better, and she was doing stuff with the doctor, and it was an inflammatory tumor in the breast. And she got a clean bill of health, like there's no tumor. And then within a week, the tumor popped back up again and had passed the blood-brain barrier, and she ended up passing away within about a week. And, you know, at the very end, she, you know, we were sitting there, and it was like maybe 2 or 3 days before she passed. And she said, "Is there anything else that we can do?" And I was like, I mean, hoping for a miracle, but, you know, when it crosses that blood-brain barrier, that's rough. And you know, I didn't give her false hope, and I wasn't negative, but I was like, we'll try our best. But, you know, I think I said something about maybe get your house in order and everything. And then, you know, she was a very good friend. And so we were just kind of quiet. We just kind of stared at each other for a little bit, knowing that this was probably going to be the last time we were going to see each other. And, you know, I asked her a question, and she was very insightful. Like, she was very, very honest. And I said, you know, we talked about like you tithing maybe in the very beginning. And I know you never did, you know, because like I brought it up a couple of times, and she was pretty clear. She did not want to do it. So I go, I'm not saying that it would have changed anything, but I'm just curious, why didn't you want to do it? And she was quiet for a little bit, and she said, it made me feel like I did something wrong. And so that really kind of made me, and like I'd say, approach the subject with the client by not saying, oh, okay, this is past karmas of this or that or whatever, but just saying like, let's just generate the karma of healing. Like, you know, rather than making it about like we got to pay an old debt or something like that. And I always found that to be a little bit better. And if they didn't like it, they could just brush it off. And that, because that's going to happen, you know. And then the other thing that I always kind of throw in there is try to get them to eat no meat. You know, you know this from PH. No meat, no animal products, really. I mean, cheese is okay, but meat protein is I mean, scientifically they've studied and said it accelerates the growth of tumor sites. Like, it doesn't cause cancer, but if the tumor site's there, it accelerates the growth. But then I also have them not use corn and peanuts, and the rationale is about allergies, like, you know, reducing allergies.
I'm sorry, Greg, peanuts and what?
Corn, like anything that, like, even if they don't have an allergy to corn or an allergy to peanuts, or now the new one is also soy. Like people can have soy, and what's the other one? The new big one is also sesame seeds. I don't see that very often, but I've read a couple articles. I think it's more in like India and stuff, but people are having food allergies from the sesame seeds. And so anything that can contribute to to allergic responses, I usually just say, it's not forever, it's for right now. Let's wipe it out. When we get to the other side of this, you can go back to eating all this stuff. Meat, everything. You go back. Like, it's not a forever thing. It's just a right now thing. And, so potentially you're slowing down the tumor growths, but also if they do end up going through chemo, I can't remember what the number is. I want to say it's like 1 in 20. 1 in 20 people don't have this particular enzyme that helps their body break down and process the chemo itself. And so at some point, they usually have a really bad allergic reaction that is potentially life-threatening. Like, it is like so bad that it's, it causes, anyway. And then the other thing, like, since we're on the subject, if they are going through treatment or whatever, most cancer patients actually die from malnutrition. Like, they actually don't die from the tumor. They die from malnutrition. They lose their appetite, they stop processing food. So all that stuff that we talk about with the digestive stuff and digestive stress and, all those things, all of that plays a role too. We have the ANS support, rosemary, verbena, tarragon, but especially with cancer patients, I tend to go like either ginger or cardamom. You could use other things too, but I do that, and then I usually have a talk with the patient, especially if I'm treating them before they have their surgery and all that, or chemo. And, we have a little talk about, you got to find a way to get calories through this. Like, I don't care if it's milkshakes or like, when you're a little kid and you eat like crackers and 7-Up or whatever it is, like whatever it is, every day you got to force something down, like just every day. And, you got to keep the strength up, because I had cancer patients that would go days without eating food, days. And they just get weak and they start sleeping more. And so you need to have a plan going into it about how you're going to get calories into that person. And, if you talk about it before, when it happens, you can go, remember, this is what we talked about. But when it's happening, they'll go, I'm just not hungry. Maybe tomorrow. They think it's like just how they're feeling, or you know what I mean. They don't see it as like a big pattern. But like when you talk about it before, it's when it happens, this is what we have to do. Then you can say, look, this is a pattern for cancer patients. And so I didn't even have chemo when I went through mine. And I had a period where, I just, like, food just seemed disgusting to me. Like, I just, I'd have it in my mouth and I'd like spit it out. Like, it's just, it's like, it tastes weird, and it just, and so, it's good to have all those kind of talks with the person. And then also sometimes people, are, you don't see so much now, but some of the older generations, as soon as they would hear the cancer diagnosis, they were just like, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. Because like when they were growing up, cancer meant a death sentence. But that was a few generations ago, and now there's a lot more effective treatments in treating cancers, so that doesn't necessarily mean a death sentence. It just, you got to go at it, you got to treat it consistently, you got to be careful for a little while, and a lot of times you get to the other side and you can resume kind of a normal life. And so people's attitudes can play a role in it, because there would be times where I was like, this cancer, like this is very treatable, it's very doable, like we're going to nail this. And the person would pass away in a couple months. And then there was some where I was like, man, there's just no way this person's going to beat this. Like it's so bad and so out of control in their body. And they would kick its butt. Like, so there's kind of no rhyme or reason. You do your best, you treat it, you try to support them as best that you can. But and then for you as a practitioner, if you're doing energy work, you minimize the contamination. Really, it's not because it's going to cause you harm, but when you're treating those kinds of things, it's just the body will get itchy, you'll get headaches, you'll get a little overwhelmed. If you're only doing one, but like I'd say that last 3 or 4 years that I was doing healing full time, I'd say 25% of my schedule was cancer patients.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was doing probably 60 a week. So, I mean, that was,
Oh, gosh.
yeah.
So on the flip side of that, Greg, just thinking about my dog just entered the room. So they have like these fatty tumors with yarrow?
Yeah, fatty cyst, probably not. Fatty cyst is yeah. Yeah. Fatty cysts are just a benign like growth. They really don't cause any issue unless they're in a place where it's like I had a cousin who had a fatty cyst, but it was on the inside of a skull. And so that's an issue, because it's going to do brain damage. But it was benign, but it's still, there's no space up there. But if it's like on the back or on the shoulder or the hip or something, it's really kind of more of a cosmetic thing. And I mean, you can try to break it down, but the amount of effort versus what I would always tell patients is like, because a lot of times they're really close to the surface. Like, go get it cut out. And, a lot of times they do that in the office, like it's outpatient or in a surgery center, I had several patients, they didn't even put them out. They just gave them a little local, popped it out, done. And we just healed the area and cleaned up the site and treated the scar, and it was done. I mean, you can try to break them down, but it takes a ton of effort, a ton of effort. Yeah.
Okay. So not yarrow or pine on that.
I mean, you can try, if you're going to try one, I'd probably do lemon internally and then pine on the area topically like 2 or 3 times a day.
Okay.
It might work, but like it doesn't work enough to where I say like, oh yeah, that's totally what I would do. Like I've seen it like reduce things in size and a couple times make things go away, but again, it's kind of a hit and miss thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Is there somebody close to you that has cancer, or a patient, or what's going on?
Yeah. It's a friend's mom.
Yeah.
It was same story like you narrated. She was cleared of cancer, and then 2 weeks later, boom, it's like there's no turning back.
Yeah. Did it cross the blood-brain barrier, or
that I don't know?
Okay, where do you know where it was at?
Yeah, her stomach.
Her stomach. Try opening up and just treating the lymph nodes in the whole abdominal cavity. Yeah. For something like that too, I would probably, that intestinal detox or Bayloral internally. I'd have them do that because like something in the gut is toxic. Like especially in the gut, there's things not moving. There's stagnation in the gut that creates a breeding ground for it to happen. And hard to say what it is. Could be allergies, could be a series of infections that impacted the nodes. It could be that there's just been a bunch of inflammation in the gut. It could be super prolonged periods of stress, but that she was cleared and then it grew back. I would double down on those lymph nodes. If she doesn't want to take something internally, try doing the Thuja or the Arbor Vitae. in like an ointment or a body tonic, like on the abdomen, but like a couple of times a day.
Did you say lotion on the abdomen?
Lotion, body tonic, however you want to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
If you need any advice or talk something out, you let me know.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
If they were to take it internal, how many drops would it be?
For that, I'd probably do 6 drops a couple times a day. Like that's a bigger dosage than what you would normally do, but you know, the thing that I used to always say with cancer is it's a bar fight. You know, like you're kind of taking the gloves off and really going at something very aggressively, and so I would treat it pretty aggressively. Yeah. Maitake mushrooms also can be helpful. I mean, there's other like herbs and things, but maitake kind of consistently can be helpful. But yeah.
And then go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey Greg, how you doing tonight?
How you doing? Doing pretty good.
Okay. I'm taking clove in the morning for a dental problem that I'm having. And I notice after I put clove in my glass and swish it around and then put it in my mouth, that leaves a residue on the glass. And then a little bit later, I take a little bit I'm like a couple of drops of ANS in the morning to help my digestion.
Hmm?
Is there any problem with the residual clove
No.
that's left on the glass?
Nah, don't worry about it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I just call those flavor remnants. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. No problem. Okay.
I have a glass that I use for taking stuff internally like that all the time, and
Mhm.
yeah.
Is it so? Are there any things like three wise men, clove, ANS, mugwort? Any of those that I need to watch about mixing up if I'm putting them in a glass to take them?
Glass meaning that it will like kind of stick to the glass, or
Yeah, it's like
residue?
after I get through that, there's a little bit of residue left on
No,
the.
I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah.
Okay. All
I
right.
mean, the clove is a little bit hot, and so
Mhm.
a lot of times what I do is you wash it out, but like I'll take like a towel from time to time on my glass and put like a little bit of alcohol on it, like vodka or something, and then kind of rub it.
Yeah.
Because the vodka being alcohol evaporates much quicker, and sometimes it kind of grabs onto that and evaporates it off.
Yeah.
Versus water, sometimes we'll just move it around rather than getting rid of it.
Okay.
And so you can try cleaning things a little bit that way, like still, wash it out, but then wipe. And I just put like a little dollop of vodka on like a paper towel and then just get in and wipe it down. That
Yeah.
still work.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Could I ask you about, so many years ago, I was introduced to a crystal healing modality. This was like 20 years ago.
Mhm.
And that we were using quartz spheres, long quartz crystals
Mhm.
for everything we did.
Mhm.
And one of the things that we talked about in those classes was that the quartz tended to expand the aura.
Mhm.
Okay. What does a quartz healing energy do to health rays? Does it strengthen them? Does it help clean them out in your experience?
Well, so a couple of things. So if you're doing things with like a stone of some sort, all stones activate the lower centers.
Okay.
When you clean them up and you consecrate them, they'll activate the upper centers. So you
Okay.
take something even like amethyst, if it's not consecrated, even though it's like for kind of upper centers, it still is more activating to lower centers than upper centers.
Mhm.
And so I would say, depending on how clean and how consecrated the stone is,
Okay.
potentially quartz can strengthen the energy body and the health rays a bit. But if the health rays are real congested,
Mhm.
green stones or orange stones are more cleansing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
What modality? Like who was the founder of the modality?
It was Toshiro Tachiren. She
Yeah, I'm
was
not
a,
familiar.
yeah, she was a multidimensional channel, and mostly most of her training and background was Wiccan.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
for health rays, we're looking at green and orange.
Yeah, green and orange. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, both of those are very decongesting. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Good. And amethyst, of course, would be for upper centers.
Well, you can use amethyst anywhere in the body. Amethyst does raise the vibration of the body. The one place that I would, well, two places, three places I'd keep it away from is on the basic, on the main men, and on the spleen.
Okay.
Maybe the front heart too. But wearing a pendant is one thing, but like if you're piling a bunch, I don't know how you guys were doing it, but like if you're doing laying of stones and you're putting a bunch of stones on the chest, it's not so much that it shouldn't be there. I just wouldn't put a lot directly on the front heart. If you clean the person first, it's going to be too overstimulating. If their energy body's a little dirty, it will go in at a slower rate and it won't be overstimulating. So it should be okay, but you'll know because they'll start to say like their heart is racing or they're feeling a little tight in the chest or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Denise, and we do have someone in chat as well.
Hi, you guys. Hi,
Hey,
Brent.
hey, how are you?
I'm doing okay in some ways. I heard from my son, and honestly, he was clearer. I'll take it.
Oh, good.
Okay, he was
Yeah.
clearer than he's been since before July. So I'll take that. And I'm not saying he's anywhere near 100%, but I'm just so grateful. That's all I can
Yeah,
say.
you got small victories, like wherever you can get it. You know what I mean?
It's a gift. Trust me.
Yeah.
Listen, I have, I can tell, I know I need some dental work done and my
Mhm.
gums are unhappy, but I just got through with a pretty nasty sinus infection and I finally had to go to amoxicillin and I was
Yep.
taking
Okay.
Wish Garden, biotic too, that kick-ass biotic with it.
Mhm.
And finally, after 6 days, like almost my last day, it's really starting to clear. So I know I need, and I haven't taken antibiotics since 2020. All right. So,
Mhm.
but my teeth are still unhappy. I have the clove oil. You
So
guys,
what does that mean? Your teeth are unhappy? Is there pain or there achiness?
yeah, a little bit of it. They're just really letting me know. And I know I've got a few cavities in my gums, but I didn't really want a dentist messing with me if I could help it till I got through the sinus infection and I cleaned
Were they
up
hurting before the sinus issue?
a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit. Had you been having low grade sinus issues before the bad outbreak?
Yeah. I think,
It's probably more your sinuses than it is your teeth. Like
okay.
sinuses can actually cause your teeth to go crazy, like pain wise, and it feels like you gotta get dental work. Or I'm not saying that you don't, but like that you just came out of a serious, sinus issue where you're having to do all that. I would say I would resolve the sinus issue and like really make it go away, and most likely that teeth pain will go down quite substantially. And so one of the things that you can also still treat the mouth, but instead of treating it with like things, you can use the clove to manage the pain, but I would also probably do several drops of cypress in water and then gargle with it a lot, or even just put several drops on your tongue. Or one of the tricks that I do sometimes is I'll take like several drops of cypress and I'll rub it along the roof of my mouth.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes like the mouth needs to be like detoxified a little bit because it is also contributing a little bit to the sinus issue. Like sometimes, even though we are doing things to knock down the bad bacteria. Sometimes we don't have enough like good bacteria in the mouth, and so that's the thing with like using something like rosemary verbena. Inhaling it is very good for the sinuses itself, but I would say take a few drops of that as well, because it will help with some of the things in the gut. Long term, like we talked about in the digestive class, like things that help with friendly bacteria, one being just the palmarosa.
Okay.
Over a period of time, if you're increasing the good bacteria in your gut, eventually it's going to affect the mouth as well. And so I would do that. Or if you wanted like a quicker fix, I'd still do the rosemary verbena and then just take some probiotics really and see if that helps. But oils that are good for cleaning up those sinuses. Rosemary verbena is very good for reducing some of the inflammation, but you could also start rotating with some of the oils that you have, like inhaling a bunch of helichrysum or a bunch of myrrh, or basil is good. Terebinth can be drying to some of the mucus, but there's the mucus part, but there's also there's just a bunch of inflammation a lot of times in the sinuses that just has to get reduced. And part of the issue is that sometimes, like if there's a stress in the digestive tract or in the solar plexus, that energy rises up and hits the sinuses. It hits the mouth and hits the sinuses. And so, like if you look at it clairvoyantly, like there's usually a lot of like red prana in the sinuses when there's infection and inflammation, but it's like a heavier, like darker kind of red. So it usually means inflammation. And
Okay.
so that's what stress energy looks like. And so reducing some of the stress, not just in the sinuses, but in the gut as well. So going back to, tarragon, anise, rosemary verbena, marjoram, all of those can be somewhat helpful. And then
Do I take them internally?
yeah,
first?
those I would take internal, just because they'll help to normalize the gut kind of a little bit quicker. And so honestly, if I was going to choose something out of that, I'd do the rosemary verbena, because it's good for the gut. It's good for stress in the gut. It increases blood flow to your head, which
wonderful.
the issue with sinuses, like even with the amoxicillin and stuff, it's that sometimes it takes longer for it to work on the sinuses, because the sinuses don't have the greatest blood supply. And so by increasing some of the blood up towards the head, it can help reduce the length of time that you need to treat. But also rosemary verbena is great for inflamed sinus tissue. Like it is helpful. There is an herb called golden seal. Get the root, golden seal root. And I'd take 3 capsules a couple of times a day. And that will also break down the mucus, stimulate lymphatic function, stimulate the immune system. It's kind of like a natural antibiotic, but it is a really good go-to herb for sinus-related issues. Like anything mucus-oriented in the gut or in the sinuses, golden seal works really, really well for that.
I have some of that from that Mohs surgery. I don't know. I bought a bunch of stuff like that, just
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
have.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I have some of that. And how about, I was going to ask, how about oregano? A really good
Yeah,
oregano,
oregano can help.
but not quite.
It's always going to boost the immune system, but it doesn't always knock out some of the stuff with. I mean, you can use it. I would go to rosemary first, the rosemary verbena, but you can augment with oregano. I probably wouldn't mix them, like just because you want the rosemary to do what it's going to do. The oregano is not hurting anything, but it's probably not going to be the thing that knocks it out either.
I do have the rosemary. I haven't
Yeah.
used it, so it'll be a wonderful. I'll probably fall in love with that one too.
Yeah,
Some
I
of these
know.
have become very best friends. You can't imagine being without them. Thank you so very
You're
much.
so welcome. Hey, glad to hear that there was some good news from your son.
Oh, me too. Thank you. He has a hearing next week, so we'll at least keep our fingers crossed.
Oh,
But
good.
any movement is good movement.
Yeah, I
Honestly.
agree. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks
Absolutely.
everyone for listening.
And we had a question on Sunday. You had talked to somebody about their meditation and they're not able to, they keep falling asleep, right? So do you remember that question at
Mhm.
all? So when they're meditating, they fall asleep and you had said that they're congested to do coffee things.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember. Yeah.
Okay. What do you mean by congestion? And
The energy's not moving in the body. It's like it's stuck in the limbs and the spine. Sometimes it's even stuck in the organs. In extreme cases, it can be caught and stuck in the fascia. And so the good thing about using coffee, so for one, it's an orange prana. So it's very, very cleansing. It's very decongesting energetically, but it also is a lymphatic stimulant, which is also how your body would further or deepen the detoxification. Detoxification doesn't always mean a physical detoxification. Sometimes it means an energetic or an etheric detoxification. And so it just helps flush all that energy out. It's a common thing, depending on the kind of meditation, people can get congested from time to time. So you either do like some exercises or use oils or you do salt baths a lot, or, and so that it's been there for a while. It probably just needs a bit of, just decongesting for a while. When I say decongesting, etheric decongestion, you're just trying to flush a bunch of energy out of the body. It's like taking a big deep breath and then going, okay, I'm just going to hold on to this. And then after a little while you go, okay, but I need air. And so you keep trying to take in more air. Your lungs' ability to take in more is reduced because of so much air that's already in the lungs. So the way to get more energy to move through is to go through and empty out the lungs. So here you're emptying out the energy body. The other thing is, it depends. Every once in a while, it could also be what we're talking about, as well as maybe a lot of congested cords with other people, depending on the work and how many people you interact with. And, if people are upset at you, or even if it was 10 years ago, like you had a work where a lot of people were upset at you, or you have something high profile, or, whatever that might be. And so, I would decongest in that way as well. Yeah. If you think about because it was a Kundalini meditation, if I remember right. Yeah. So Kundalini, you're trying to circulate energy through the body. And, and there's different approaches to doing it, but if the body's congested, it becomes harder to circulate the energy or the energy to move up. I don't know if you were just focusing on up, or you're doing circulation or going up and down the channel, but any version of that is still going to generate a bunch of energy and then potentially congest particular areas. So,
in addition to using the coffee baths, and to put the coffee on the key points you suggested, I'm doing the coffee baths 2 times a week and the coffee on those points, but is there anything else to help remove the congestion?
that's just going to be a lot of consistent treatment for a little bit. If you want to do more coffee baths or rotate it with putting on a body tonic of things that are lymphatically supportive as well, like anything that's lymphatically supportive, so that orange healer, the Lovage body tonic, the lymphatic blend, chakra root cleanser, bay laurel, any of the things that are very good for lymphatic movement also help you to decongest. But think of meditation as, regardless of the type, there's sustained awareness, there's different techniques for sustained awareness, there's different traditions and techniques for oneness, and then there's different techniques and traditions for Kundalini. All of them have a potential for congestion, and so it's always about, like, you're displacing lower vibrational energies. And so part of what happens, regardless of what type you're doing, you're displacing lower vibrational energies in the body. So you're upgrading the body, you're upgrading the vibration of the body, you're flushing out some emotion, you're just flushing things out, right? And how the body displaces lower vibrational energy is through lymphatic function. And so you always want to look at, like, how well is the lymphatic system working, how well is the detoxification process. If you wanted to augment with, like, doing health rays or the etheric cord blend, that can help, because the etheric cord blend helps with circulation through the body, because you're dealing with congestion from other people. And then the health rays just is a way to amplify the detoxification process. So it really kind of depends on how much time and energy that you wanted to do. But I remember I had about, this is many years ago, but I took a coffee bath every day for quite a while. And, it was before we had the coffee essential oil. So I used to buy one of those big containers of instant coffee, and every night a whole container would go into the bath. And that whole big container, I think it was a 16-ounce container, that coffee essential oil, 7 drops is the equivalent energetically to that whole container. And so if you're doing about 15 drops, that's the equivalent of doing 2 of those big containers in your bath. And so however hard you want to go at it, but yeah, I mean, it does have some health benefits by going through and doing this. You are stimulating lymphatic function. It will improve other parts of your body as well, but yeah, that's a big
And the application for the etheric cords and health rays is just
inhalation.
And they are doing the lymph class coming up.
Yeah, that should be very helpful. We're going to, we've talked about lymph before and everything, but we're going to do it in a way that we systematically go through and unwind the lymphatic system, not so much with all the different layers of like different things to apply to the body, but we're going to kind of work the lymphatic system in a way to unwind it through one part of the body to the next 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 part of the body. So it's going to be a little bit more of an anatomical approach rather than just bombarding it with a bunch of different oils. And so in the past, we've done it with just a bunch of oils and tried to let the oils do the heavy lifting. But, there's just times where you still need a little bit more than even that. And so we're going to do like a deeper kind of approach.
Do you remember where you said to put the coffee, like what points to apply?
You could put it on your spine, you could put it on your thumb webs, like another one could even be like up here in that little, like not tender, but you see how like that little triangle area, like in front of the muscle behind the collarbone, you could rub some up in there. And Ming Men, like put some on the Ming Men, which is a backside of the navel. Yeah.
Great, and for anyone new or just getting here, if you want to raise your hand and ask a question, you're welcome to type in. Or
Okay, we got everybody's question? Okay, let's do, let me look up the recipe real quick.
yeah, go ahead, Denise.
Hey Denise.
I was just gonna ask about the lymphatic class. Could you tell us about that? Is that coming up soon? And
Yeah, it's coming up. When is that coming up?
2 weekends from now, I think it's February 25th.
Right. So not this coming up weekend, but the following weekend. And it's a free class. So we posted the oils that you need for that. And you know, if you need to get something, you know, we listed the things, but I tried to give like pick an oil from each group, like group 1, group 2, group 3, because we're focusing on certain aspects. And so the oils are posted, and it's just a 1-day class, but it's going to be probably more of a therapy session than, you know, than us just sitting and chatting. You know how like sometimes in some of the study groups we sit and talk about, you know, different conditions and things. This one we're going to physically go through and just unwind the lymphatic system, but we're going to address some of the things in the nervous system that contribute to either better lymphatic function or poorer lymphatic function. And so yeah, we're gonna just go through and do that. And I think it's just, what is it, like 10 to 6 or something? It's just like the Sunday schedule.
Yeah.
So it's a free class on Sunday. Yeah.
it sounds great. I'll make
Yeah.
sure. And then on Cypress, how would you want me to take Cypress? I'll check and see.
Like for your thing, I do the thing where I put several drops on and then just rub it on the roof of your mouth.
On the roof of the mouth.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, very good. And thank you so much, because if I need to order it, I can pick it up with maybe this class kit. Okay, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. So like this is how much of a thing that the roof of the mouth is. Like back when I would see people in person, people would come in with like super bad sinus infections and it'd be super impacted. And you know, when we tried doing things with oils and I'd be doing healing and a little physical manipulation or something, none of it was really working. And so I would pop on a rubber glove and I would take my finger and I would just start rubbing the roof of the mouth, you know, just like kind of like back and forth, side to side, a lot of it back and forth. But, you know, you just kind of keep moving it like you're doing like kind of almost like a friction massage on the roof of your mouth. And every time, like if the sinuses were super impacted, it would pop it open and they would start to drain. So that the roof of your mouth plays a much bigger role in your sinuses than we realize, because we don't really ever think about the roof of our mouth for anything unless it's got a sore on it or a burn or, you know, something. We don't really think about it, but it can get very inflamed and it can get very lymphatically
Congested.
yeah, backed up. And then the other trick is you know, taking lemon internally can be helpful. Kind of keeps everything moving, but if the sinuses get really impacted, like it's an old school thing, is to take like maybe a drop or two of cinnamon, like, you know, a drop or two of cinnamon in some water, or you could probably do thyme, or you could even probably do it with your oregano, like a little bit in water and then drink it so that it kind of has a little bit of heat to it, and then do a little bit of jumping jacks for like, 60 seconds. And, the movement, the jumping, you're basically trying to break a sweat. And within usually about 60 to 90 seconds, the nose will open up and you'll start to unwind.
Oh, that's great. Thank
Yeah,
you. Excellent. I do have the cinnamon leaf. I got that recently. And okay, and the oregano as well as a possibility. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Is there anybody else?
Is your Angelica the same as white Angelica?
White Angelica, if I remember right, is a blend that's from Young Living or something, and it's like 20 or 30 different oils or something. So I don't know why Gary called that white angelica, but that's a blend and it has very little angelica. Yes, I think. So just let me look something up here. And we might even be able to squeeze it too. Okay, so if you have the blend in Gilead, let's have you get that. But if not, I'm going to give you some choices. Cistus, sage, poplar, St. John's wort, or African bluegrass. So the blend Gilead, or cistus, sage, poplar, St. John's wort, or bluegrass. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to clean up the lower centers, like from the navel down. And this is to reduce the buildup of lower emotions. And so this is usually very gentle, very soothing. It's relaxing to the body, and it helps to reduce the effects of the things from the environment, be it people or, stressful situations or environments, whatever it might be. It just helps ease all of these things. This is important to do sometimes from time to time with meditation, because like how we were talking about dealing with the energetic congestion, as your energy body expands, if you think about this, as your energy body expands, your energy body gets bigger, and you start to become more influenced by more people, because like you say, you're standing in like a checkout line at the grocery store. There's more people standing in your aura than if you were home by yourself, or the way it used to be and everything. And so sometimes the stumbling block is we get a little bit too sensitive, and we want to withdraw from the things that are uncomfortable or stressful, or sometimes other people's thought processes can feel agitating to your body. And so this cleans up the effects, this cleans up whatever things you've generated, but also from other people, it reduces the influence and the effect that other people's emotions have on you as well. And so I find this to be incredibly soothing. So Gilead is what we use here, but if you don't have that, grab one of those single oils, and I'll give you a minute to go find something. And if you already have your oil and you're all ready to go, just sit and kind of check in with yourself, check in with your body, check in with some situations maybe that has been going on in the last week or two. Doesn't have to be bad situations, just kind of think about things going on in your life in the last few weeks. Okay, so first just begin inhaling. We're not going to direct it anywhere, just start taking some long, slow, deep breaths. Okay, and then just be still for a moment. And again, think of those external situations and begin inhaling the oil again as you think of those external situations. They don't necessarily have to be bad. Just think of the things going on in your life and inhale. Long, slow, deep breaths, thinking about those things externally. And then just be still. Just let everything go for a moment. Just be still. Check in with your body. Where do you feel this in your body? Where do you feel the tension, a heaviness, a clenching or clamping down? And then just let go for a moment. Begin inhaling again. Your awareness is on your navel. Taking long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on your navel. You're still taking long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on your navel. Go down 1.5 inches below your navel. And then just be still for a moment. Just be still, be aware, just let go. Move your awareness over to the spleen, the left-hand side below your ribs. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the spleen. And then push through your body and come out the back side. So the same spot, same area, but on the back. Taking some long, slow, deep breaths in that area. Yeah, that bit. Okay. Yeah. Relaxing. Still taking long, slow, deep breaths. And then just let it go for a moment. Just be still, be aware, just let go. your low back area, the back side of your navel. Take some long, slow, deep breaths. You're still on that low back area. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. And then move your awareness to the sex chakra, where the sex organs are. Long, slow, deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, just let it go for a moment. So here we want to reduce the tendency to get triggered to generate the lower emotions. You know, a lot of times the lower emotions are triggers that we don't consciously recognize. They're unconscious, they're automatic, they're not something you're even aware of. They're a lot of times based on past conditioning and past experiences. So we want to unwind that. So this is just a little experiment for you. Again, your awareness is on the sex chakra. But now your awareness is on the sex chakra and the Ming Men, which is that low back area opposite the navel, both of those at the same time. Take long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on both spots at the same time. So like a bunch of tension leave your body, just like your whole body just went.
Is there like?
So you're still in the sixth chakra in the low back area, the Mingmen. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. Now move your awareness to your jaws where they hinge in front of each ear, both sides. Inhale with your awareness on the jaws. And then just be still. Just be still. Begin inhaling again. Your awareness is on the sixth chakra again and the Mingmen, which is the backside of your navel. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. And then again, move your awareness up to the jaws. Long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the jaws. And then just let go. Let go of everything. Just let go. Just be still. Go to your temples. Your awareness is on your temples. You're going to take some long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on your temples. And then just let that go. You're being still, you're being aware. Begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the bottom of the tailbone. And move your awareness to the front heart, the center of your chest. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the center of your chest, the front heart. And then move your awareness to the back heart. And then just let go. Let go of everything, just let go. Just be still. Begin inhaling again. Your awareness is on the front heart. Move your awareness to the back heart. Your awareness is on your back heart. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. And then just be still, be aware, just let go. Just let go. Keep your eyes closed, just let it incubate for a moment. Now, check in with your body. Where do you feel it in your body? You feel it in your shoulders, your back, your jaws, your hips. Just sit with it wherever you feel the spot in your body, wherever it stands out the most. Just sit with that part of your body. Keep your awareness on it. Now begin inhaling. Wherever you feel it in your body, you're taking long, slow, deep breaths. Go to your brain. Your awareness is on the brain. And then just let it go for a moment. Just let it go. Begin inhaling again. Your awareness is on the brain. You're still inhaling. Your awareness is on your brain. Move your awareness to the temples. Long, slow, deep breath with your awareness on the temples. And then just be still. Let everything go. Just be still. You're maintaining your stillness and awareness. Now let's go back to your external events. Whatever's going on in your life, just start going one by one. Pick one out, think about it, and just take long, slow, deep breaths as you inhale. If there's somebody you're having an issue with or that's a little bit triggering to you, whatever it might be, take some long, slow, deep breaths as you put your awareness on that situation or that person. Move on to another situation, another person. Whatever it is, somebody who bothers you a little bit. Let's just see what happens as you think about them or the situation as you take some long, slow, deep breaths. That's just breathing your breath. Yeah. Now let the person in the situation go. Go back to the sex chakra and the Ming Men at the same time. And take some long, slow, deep breaths. And then up to your jaws. Okay. I think we've officially lost Samantha. Just let go. Let go of everything, just let go. Just let it incubate for a minute or two. Okay, how about this? Let's share experiences. And if you want to ask a question or so, we'll cut this piece up and be able to make it available on YouTube so you can just go through and follow. I mean, we're using a pattern, but we also did a little free form, and part of what's happening sometimes when I do this, it doesn't always come out the same. I'm watching the energy, here it's for the group, but for an individual, it might be slightly different. But the part that's the same is always that part of the navel, the spleen, the Mingmen, the sex, and the basic. And the thing that you really want to focus on is that combination of the sex chakra and the Mingmen. When you get triggered, or when you're in a state where you're about to be triggered, or a situation is like pushing you in that direction, the tendency is for the sex chakra and the Mingmen to be a bit more overactivated. It basically is stimulating the adrenals. And so this can actually even be in relationships. For example, like maybe a young woman who always is going for the bad boy. Part of that is the bad boy is a little bit triggering, so it activates the sex chakra and the Mingmen, which kind of is like a kind of passion, you could say, but it's not really like a choice or a connection or a bond. It's just a triggering. It's a reaction. And so it doesn't mean that it's about sex. Let's be very clear about that. The sex chakra is the lowest part of your emotional makeup in Kabbalistic teachings. Your emotional makeup is from the heart, and then solar plexus, the navel, the spleen, the Mingmen, and then the sex chakra. So it is the lowest part of the emotional response. And so it's the part that has to do with being triggered, being reactive in nature. And so here we want to undo the conditioning from the past and let it have a little bit of a reboot, so that when something happens where you've had pain in a similar situation in the past, you're not just triggered, or when there's been an act of violence around you, or whatever it is, somebody saying something, somebody bullying somebody, whatever it might be, if it's something that triggers you, think of the situation, reflect on it, especially if you have like something recently, inhale the oil as you think about it, follow that lower pattern, and then spend a lot of time working the sex and the Mingmen. And the reason why we go up to the jaws is this is starting to hit some of the lower mental function. It's tied to an instinctive response. Your jaws are tied to your throat. Your throat is your lower mental function, amongst other things, right? And so when you do the sex chakra and the Mingmen, part of what's happening is it's making the jaws expel. Don't you ever notice like those times where you feel you're kind of being triggered, or you're in that state where like I'm getting agitated and triggered very easily? Your jaws are always a little wound up, like they're a little tight, they're a little tense. You need to stretch them a little bit. I mean, all of that is basically not just energetically connected, but there's physiological components to this that actually go hand in hand. And so we still have a few minutes, so let's share experiences or ask whatever questions you like. We'll be covering this more at some points in different classes or different study groups or something, but I don't know. I just thought, I don't know. The world's a crazy place sometimes. Who couldn't use a little less being triggered and a little more being able to be calm and peaceful in a chaotic time? So anyway, go ahead.
Someone shared helped, but I picked a hard one and it still hurts emotionally, but it feels like my body is calmer.
So like the hurt part, the trauma part, this is more for like the lower emotions, but when you start getting into trauma, then you're starting to deal with thought forms. So, I mean, very perceptive of the person. And so at that point, what you would do is you would roll into using something for more of a traumatic release, right? And so, that's the whole thing, like we're going to be talking about the trauma release technique. I really boiled down a bunch of different things just to go, if you had just like 15, 20 minutes, an hour to go through and try to release trauma, that's what we would like to try to do with going through and doing that process with the trauma release technique. But bottom line is, like, if you have some traumatic thing that you're trying to use, helichrysum is your best bet without going through a full technique. We're going to be doing things with the nervous system and, some other pieces, and kind of goes hand in hand with what we're doing the next day, not this weekend, but next weekend with the lymphatic system. It kind of deepens the physical and psychological healing. They both stand on their own, but they work good together as well. And helichrysum helps release the trauma, but more importantly, it helps someone move past the trauma. And so sometimes what happens is, because you're dealing with a thought form rather than like just thought energy or an event, a thought form is strong emotion or repetitive thought that's attracted energy from the environment, and then they've mixed together to create this thought form. So thought energy has become physicalized. And so you kind of have to deconstruct it a little bit. And just unwinding the lower emotion, that's not quite a thought form yet. You're just kind of mopping up the building blocks that potentially could turn into a thought form. So when you're starting to go, okay, I'm addressing something that's a bit traumatic, helichrysum will break down the traumatic energy, will help you release it. You can just inhale it with awareness on your heart, back heart. But I also do a thing where you check in with your body. I also like doing the brain a little bit with it as well. And then by using it on a regular basis, I mean, sometimes when I'm feeling like that, I'll actually even just point blank, like put it on the heart. Like I'll just dab it several drops on the heart. I'll just keep doing it throughout the day for several days. And it releases the trauma and helps you to move past it. Like it helps you to disentangle from it, disengage it. And if you think about like even the health rays, your ability to detoxify, I mean, a big part of that health ray blend that we use for that is actually helichrysum. I mean, so it's actually detoxifying. It helps to release things on an energetic level, but also on an emotional and mental level. So.
And then go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
We can't hear you yet. There we go.
Wrong button. Let me just do this now since I'm on video. Sam, you can just relate to Greg. So
Yeah, how does that go like that?
the K-pop part. But I just have something general to share. I don't really have anything that came to mind that was triggering to me at the moment, just work and the workload. But I noticed after doing this protocol, how my gut, my stomach was like a big knot that just kept unwinding and unwinding.
I mean, like the thing is like, that's why like it manifests different with different people, but like given the kind of work that you do, people are coming at you whether you are aware of it or not. And sometimes you might not even have interaction with them and they're coming at you because of the nature of your work. So you're going to get it in the gut and you're going to get it in the throat, like a lot of times, and then energetically in the basic. And so the thing is like, when you get like upset and you get triggered and you're like, and then you say a couple things, or you get upset or you get a little wound up. Those are times that we're aware of that we're being triggered. Sometimes we get these little like micro triggers where it doesn't really register, like might registers a little tension in your body, or you tense up, or you're like, that guy's being weird, or this person's being weird, or like, I'm gonna walk into the situation, they're all gonna be upset at me. You know, it's not always things that you would recognize. I mean, haven't you ever had like a weird interaction with something, and like somebody said something and you walked away and that kind of lingered for a little bit, but there was like no reason for, like, nothing in it was like content that was like upsetting or needed to be addressed, but it's like just something that somebody said. It's just like it just sticks in. It's like it's a little agitating. And you know, it goes back to that thing of, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. Like sometimes somebody can say something that's very proper, but the energy that's passing through that is poke, you know? And so when you hear it, you go, okay, that sounds normal. But then you walk away and you're like, something in there just like, I can't let it go. Like it's not like you're grinding on it, but it's just like it just keeps eating at you a little bit. That's a little minor trigger. And sometimes they're not even that big, but there can be just like little triggers that happen. And so good to unwind these things and the tendency, so that when people come at you, you know, be it in the workplace or whatever, that you're able to kind of keep your wits about you so that you don't just become reactionary.
Thank you so much. Now that you said that, I went to the pharmacy that was all of a sudden being shut down. The employees were just told, we're
Yeah.
closing tomorrow.
That would be
And
a little bit
when I left
triggered.
that place,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I need to clean my energy field.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of sadness there on my
Yeah.
part. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to feel some micro traumas, spend 10 minutes like just flipping through the news. Like there's little things that just like weird things that happen in the news, or people say something or do something, or how do you not do that? So we got to jump over to Astara. Thanks for joining us tonight. I know it was Valentine's Day, and thanks for taking time. We love you guys, and happy Valentine's Day. And if you want, we're going to bless Turkey and the earthquake. So join us if you can. We'll post the link, or you can grab it on the site. And we'll see some of you tomorrow and some this week.